Hello, disruptors and viewers from around the globe. We are so happy that you have tuned into Mindset Mastery Moments with Dr. Alisa Schultz, your number one mindset disruptor. You are tuned into a podcast that is a top 1% podcast where we aim to help you shift from limiting belief to success in your life, your business, relationships, and your career. Tune in as we help you unlock the mindset that is key to your success. Welcome to this special episode of Mindset Mastery Moments with yours truly, Dr. Alisa. Today, we are uncovering hidden layers of resilience, exploring profound impact of service. Today in the studio, I have two phenomenal individuals who are the founders of a unique organization called Serving First Responders. Let's get ready for an episode that will inspire, challenge, and ignite your spirit of resilience. I want to welcome to Mindset Mastery Moments my special guest and two of my great friends, Ty and Karen Doolittle. Come on up to the Mindset Mastery stage. We're so happy to have you. Oh, there you guys are. I'm so happy to have you all looking dazzly and smiley. I'm so happy to welcome you guys to this part of our collaboration, Mindset Mastery Moments. How are you all doing today?
Wonderful.
Excellent. If I was any better, they'd need two of me, and I'd name one of them Dr. White.
Listen, guys, get ready for a fantastic episode. But before we dive in, I've got to tell you a little bit more about Ty and Karen Doolittle. They are a powerhouse couple with a passion for service and deep commitment to supporting first responders. Yes, I said first responders. Karen is an accomplished educator and advocate for first responders, while Ty's journey spans military service, law enforcement, and now he is coupled with his beautiful wife, Karen, they co-founded Serving First Responders. Together, they bring a wealth of experience and insights into the challenges and triumphs of those who dedicate their life to serving others. And so they are in this chapter of their life, turning around and serving those who served. Ty and Karen, again, a very special welcome to Mindset Master Moments. Why don't you guys go ahead and tell us your version of who you are?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. White.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
First, I want to say we really appreciate you allowing us to come on your platform and spread our message. I know that you have a great influence over a lot of people, and a lot of those people might not have ever heard about our story, whether it's our individual, but I'm talking about first responders and some of the challenges they face. We're hoping that we can bring some light to some of the things that we've been through and help the next guy. So,
yeah, we're just a normal couple, husband and wife. We're a mom and a dad and sisters, brothers, you name it. And we've always lived a life of serving, with Ty as a police officer and I as a teacher, taking student teachers all the time, really resonating with that paying it forward mindset. And so this was quite a natural transition for us to now, having come out the other side of serving, to now pay that forward and say, hey, how can we help the next guy?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so basically, as I said, you guys are what I call servant leaders, and I believe you've always been, but you're taking that to the next level. As Ty told me, he says he spent a lot of his journey getting the bad guys. And now, Ty, say that for me so I don't mess it up. And now he's serving the good guys.
I spent most of my adult life catching bad guys, and now I get to turn around and start helping the good guys.
Catch the good guys, yeah.
That is definitely so sort of it's exactly what you do. But a lot of people find themselves struggling to figure out, how do I go from this to that? And we'll talk about that in the show as we go along, which is, again, this is why resilience is a theme for this episode with you guys. But your journey is, as a couple, as individuals as well, has been something that's truly remarkable. Can you share with us what inspired you to establish Serving First Responders, and how your backgrounds as individuals and as a couple played a role in shaping that endeavor?
Oh, great question. You know what? I'm going to actually let Karen go first, and then we'll kind of connect the dots. But in order to understand where we are, you have to kind of figure out where we came from. And,
That's right.
we couldn't have been more different, yet more similar in our upbringing, where we come from. And, I believe there's a reason why God put us together. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Karen.
Oh boy, that's a lot. Well, I think for me, the bottom line is, I understood Ty's need for support, in the areas where maybe there was some struggle. And God bless him, he's been so open and willing to receive some mentorship, some coaching, just some guidance from others who have gone before him as well. And we understand the importance of that and leveraging that. And so there's been lots of trauma along the way. There's been happy times, good times, really scary times. There's been sad times. And all of that has led us to really coming to an understanding of what did we go through? What did we see? What did we feel? And then really having that understanding of we need to put this into a one place, one shop drop. I don't know what the word is. I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what led to us. It was just kind of that continual tap on the shoulder of you need to do a little bit more than what you're currently doing. And instead of more of the saying me to we, it was kind of an us to nobody else in the moment. And now what we understand is that it's a us, it's a me to then we, to how can we pay that forward. We've always had a good marriage. I love and respect Ty as a man, as a husband, as a father. And I think that has undergirded everything for us in terms of how we've supported each other and how more so I can support him. I know that he wants from me when he's sort of, feeling down or not kind of running at full capacity. That's where I need to pick up and kind of hold up a little bit more of the weight. And he does that for me as well. But where this all started in a journey just was a kind of a moment of, I'll let Ty share that because it really is inspired by Ty and Ty's want. And then I kind of came alongside and said, let's do it, babe. Yes. I'm there with you. I understand your mission. I understand what's important for you. And let's just do it.
Let's talk a little bit about before we met.
So that's I'm gonna let you go ahead, but she dropped so much in this sentiment. I should have been taking notes because I want to dive into that a little bit. But go ahead, Ty. I'm on fire already.
Just to kind of touch on what Karen was talking about is that there's two verses that mean a lot to me from the Bible. One is Philippians 4:13, who says, "I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength." And I think about all the things that I've been through, that we've been through as a couple, that I've been through as an individual. And I know that without having God in our life being that number one focus to pull us through those tough times of, just riddled with self-doubt, riddled with combat guilt, a bit of survivor's guilt, things like that. There's no way I could have made it through. But like when I was in the Marine Corps, I remember you'd finish your run, and if there were still people behind you, you turn around, you go and get them. And that's kind of how I feel this next verse helps out, is that Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so does one man sharpen another." And I believe, it's incumbent upon us to those who have been through the fire, those who have leaned on that Philippians 4:13 message, you're not done. God doesn't want us to be reservoirs. We're to be rivers. We're to have his strength and his message flow through us. So, we'll get into the story about trauma and things that we've been through, but we made it through. We didn't make it through unscathed, but we made it through. And it's incumbent upon us to turn around and go back and help that next person. We didn't, I don't know if survive is the right word, but we didn't come through all of this just to come through it and stop.
Yeah.
We came through this to turn around and go and find that next guy, that next couple, that next person that is hurt and that just needs somebody to say, hey, we got you. We're going to get you set up. We're going to get you set in the right place. And, the troubles and the challenges that we face as a first responder family, it's not like, oh, you're just going to have, post-traumatic stress or whatever. There's other things that come up that manifest, like when you're making that transition or leaving, whether it's fire or corrections or law enforcement, it's, well, what do I do now? How do I take that next step? Because I've always been, the alpha that goes out, conquers, comes home, goes out, conquers, comes home. And I always refer to it as, I've lived a mission-oriented life, purpose, mission, whatever you want to call it. But in the military, it's all about mission. You come out. I wasted very little time before I went into policing. Another mission-focused, mission-oriented. So we come out of the other end. Well, what's mission? Because a lot of people, it's different. Some people have a mission of, I'm never working for anybody again. I want to start my own cake baking company, and that's my mission.
That's the mission.
I want to take all the training that I've learned, and I want to start a career that's going to benefit us. So how do I make that next step? How do I take what I've done for the last 20, 30 years, fighting fires, keeping bad guys locked up, going out and catching bad guys, or even like dispatchers, who I think are the most unsung heroes of first responders. They're the lifeline for us on the road, and they have to sit in a sterile environment. How do they take that next step of helping that next person? And so these are some of the things that really challenge people, and it challenges not only like just on face value, but there's so many sub levels. How can I serve my family if I don't even know where to go to work?
Where to go to work? How
do I serve my family if I don't even know what my role is anymore? Because I was a gang cop for 20 years. Now I'm not. Well, who am I?
Right.
So that's our goal for serving first responders is to give people that mission or purpose. And we think that when you leave this industry in whatever capacity, it should be with anticipation, not anxiety. And so many people are riddled with anxiety. What do I do? Will my wife still love me? How am I going to be? How am I going to come up with those cool stories?
And who am I? And I think we struggle, Ty struggle with that a lot, getting that order correct in your life of who am I? I'm a gang, like Ty will tell you, I'm a gang cop, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a follower of Christ, okay, why is everything in my life not working?
Right.
Because kind of your identity, his whole identity was, I'm a gang cop.
I'm a gang cop, but had to figure out I'm more than
flip it. Yeah.
I had to flip it. When I realized that I'm a son of a king.
Right.
Before I'm anything else.
Right.
I'm a Christian first. And then I'm a husband, because if it's not right with mom and dad, how can it be right with the kids?
Yeah.
Come on now.
Right? And then I'm a father.
Yeah.
And policing, I love policing. Don't get me wrong. It's provided some amazing things in our life, amazing stories, but it's not who I am anymore. It is a provider for our life. It's not what we do. It's how do we want to live. And policing allowed us to live certain ways. But once we got that figured out, and the policing was down the road, was down the list of priorities of who I am, things started falling into place.
Yes. Oh my goodness. You guys have given us so much already. Listening to you both, it's definitely, you, Ty, have shown so much resilience. And so a lot of times we talk about resilience, and we talk about resilience in a person, in a man, in a woman. And we do give them, because nothing really happens. And like you said, it has to start with you, but you are attesting to something I personally believe in, that my resilience, first of all, came in my identity. And my identity had holes in it because I thought that being a gang cop was my identity. But then once I realized that, first of all, being a child of God, and for those who are listening who don't subscribe to being a Christian, which just means Christ-like, following Christ, you might identify God in your life, but you don't understand that because you were created in his image and likeness, that's why you are. And that is number one, who you are as
Can I
created in
interrupt
His.
real quick on that?
Yes.
I firmly believe that if you try to get through this world without a faith in a higher power, and we believe what we believe. If you're not a Christian, that's great. And I'm not here to push our religion on you, but I
Right.
would really encourage anybody, if you don't have faith in a higher power, if you're not laying it at the feet of the higher power, you are carrying the weight yourself.
That's right. And that's exactly where the resilience begin. It's first identifying yourself as creating in God's image and likeness, right? And we really like you said, we're not trying to convert you into our faith, but we know what we know. And you look at us on screen and you see our lives. If you examine it, that's where we started, and then we work our way through who we surround ourselves with. And so that would be for you, as you said, first, it's my wife. And now I know who I am. I'm able to be a great husband. What I'm going to dig into a little bit, we're still in the month of March. It's Women's History Month. This episode is going to come out before the month ends. I want to tap into that a little bit, what Karen said earlier. And Karen, because I feel like when I listen to you all, what the world has begun to say, what a lot is common now, is saying, oh, they're a traditional couple. I've been asked, are you traditional in relationships, or are you? And I'm like, what? However, if traditional is what you call the blueprint, then I guess I am, because I believe there's a blueprint where the man is the head of the home. And so we're not going to try to get on too many people's toe, but we're going to tell you about how they got to this phenomenal organization that they founded. And you're hearing their background as servant leaders in law enforcement and education. What I also hope, and I want to amplify in this moment, Karen, with you, and then Ty, you can tap in on it as well, is what Karen said at the beginning of this conversation. She highlighted that she first respects her husband and she trusts him. Mm-hmm. He highlighted that first I knew what my identity, I tapped into what my identity is in God, my creator. And then I knew who I was as a man. And then I'm serving my wife, my family, and then the community. Karen, not Taryn. I'm wanting to put Taryn becomes Ty and Karen. I love how that works. Karen, tell us a little bit more about why women should choose to walk and join their lives with a man they first trust and respect and then love. Because I feel like that's what I heard. And how is that throughout your journey as educator, law enforcement, when he was in the grind, fighting the tough guys, the bad guys? What did that look like, and why is that so important?
Right. Well, the love and respect part comes from who he is as a man. He daily demonstrates that love and respect towards me and the kids and the family. Like, there is not a shadow of a doubt in my mind that we are of top priority in Ty's head. Like, that's not even ever a question. Yeah. He's always thinking about us. He's always thinking about us and how can he do right by us. So I'm very grateful to have a man who's already been raised, who's already understands the importance of that in a family. He treats me like a queen. He always says, it's what's best for mama is what's best for us all, and happy wife, happy life, so to speak. Right? But during the times of ups and downs and difficulty, struggles, when I could see that he was struggling, the one thing that I always give kudos to Ty is that, one, he sought therapy, sought out people that could help him. And one thing that Ty's always said is, it's so important. Mental health is so important. Yes. And it gets so often brushed under the carpet, or it's belittled, or any other word that you want to attach to that. And it needs to be forefront. And it needs to be made normal. Like, there's nothing wrong with seeking support for your brain, for your mind, for your overall wellness of who you are. And so through our journey, Ty's been able to share with me the ways that I can support him when things are not chugging along quite as well for him, you know?
Right.
He doesn't, if he describes it as he's got this big, fat, hairy, gross ball of nastiness, but he doesn't want to give that to me in order for me to understand what he's going through. I don't need that big, hairy, gross ball of nastiness. But all he needs from me is to understand that I'm just walking a little slower today.
Yes.
And that's all it is, that I can then undergird that and help with what is it he needs in that moment. So really simple example. We as a family learned this a long time ago with Ty. He's not good. I mean, first responders will understand this. When we go into a restaurant, let's just say for an example, for simplicity, we let daddy sit himself first.
Yeah.
Because he needs to be in a position where he can scan the room, he can see the exits, and that's really nothing major that we've done,
Right.
but the overall effect for him is huge. Because if we just walk up and sit wherever we feel like we want to sit, it doesn't matter to me. I don't have that kind of trauma or whatever.
Right.
And I've just put onto him without really any understanding of stress, anxiety, because he's not sitting where he feels most comfortable. So a silly example like that of how we can support him makes a world of difference. And then the dinner goes nicely, you know, like whatever, you know, the conversation flows. Whereas if he's put in a situation where he feels he's not necessarily comfortable, in control kind of thing, it's quite different.
Yes, it is. And so, wow, go ahead.
So it's just really small things that we have learned to do to support where he's at in terms of his mindset. So I used to say I'm a strong woman, but I'm a woman of strength.
Absolutely.
And I don't need, right? I can be strong in my profession when I need to be. I can be strong in those other areas of picking up the slack when, you know, we're at our son's birthday party and dad's got a call that, you know, the gangsters are kicking off and he's got to go. And there I am holding the bag of a birthday. Right? So there's lots of ways where I can be strong, but there's ways that I choose to just have strength, if that makes any sense.
Right. Oh, that makes all the sense.
Okay.
And for Women's History Month, you give us a lesson on time. I'm not even going to say anything right now. I probably will later because this is phenomenal. Ty, what do you have to say to that about her being that woman of strength versus that strong woman and knowing when to be that and when to juxtapose the two?
Yeah, well, you know, first of all, I'd like to clarify what I think sometimes people think as man leading the household. That's not misogyny. That's not putting the woman down. It's stepping up and taking that leadership role to ensure that the family has all these needs met. Being a strong woman doesn't mean that she has to belittle her spouse.
Come on.
Being a strong second chair is amazing. Right? When you look at some of the most powerful leaders, they didn't start there. They were second chair. They were, and there's way more work that goes into that. I'll give you a classic example. In the military, we have a thing called a mess night. We do it in the Marine Corps, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of tradition, and you have a president of the mess, and the president of the mess sits at the head of the table, at the front table, and he conducts everything. And then there's a vice president of the mess, and the vice president is the lower role. I was a vice president of the mess a couple times. The vice president does all the work. Does everything to make sure that event comes off without a hitch. And the president sits at the top of and the president knows all the work that the vice president has done for this mess night. I look at it kind of, that's what we're doing. I mean, I can't come into a meeting like this without having talked to Karen, without having a game plan, without bouncing stuff off each other. You know, when it comes to what we're doing here with serving first responders, let's be honest, I'm the first responder. I'm probably the spokesperson for it. But there is no way that I could be standing here today without a woman of strength, without a partner that is like completely on board with us. So, you know, a lot of people think that, you know, father power has to take away from mother power. And that's not it. A strong man doesn't
work together.
it does not have to take away from having a strong wife
Yes.
And that's where we are. So, kudos to my wife to be able to step up and do a lot of these things throughout. You'll hear through our story, but
Yes.
Karen's a very successful educator.
Yes.
And because of her schedule and children's schedule, my schedule, I was the odd man out. So a lot of times Karen's building her career and raising the kids while I'm off 12 hours on, 12 hours off, 4 days on, 4 days off. And, won't get into all of that, but it is a lot. You can't be a passive woman. You can't be an overbearing spouse and expect to be able to handle all of that stuff. I think Karen is, if you, with Women's History Month, if you want to take a look at really what a woman of strength is, and a classic example of somebody to follow, please look at my wife. She is definitely set the bar. Definitely set the bar.
I always say, well, you might want to edit this out, you might not, but I always say I'm like a good bra. I'm supportive and uplifting.
I don't edit much out. I only edit things that you don't want in there. So it's definitely going through. And what I'm about to say is everything that they just said. It's so easy. It's what I stand in the world for. A lot of people know I do mindset, but the dynamic of the family and the mindset of how a man and woman comes together and how they build and grow together is going to be at the core of everything that we do. This is why I love that we were able to build up this episode this way, because when we talk about your phenomenal work in serving first responders and what you're doing, it's going to make sense. The success that you've had, and see a lot of people, it's like, well, what's their net worth? We're not talking about money. Success is sitting here after how many years of being together, going through serving the community, serving people, taking out, the nuances trashed. Ty took people off the street repeatedly for years that were, a threat to our safety in the community, wherever he lived. He served in the military. Karen built up her career serving and educating the next generation of leaders. So you're talking success is being able to go through all that, the journey of raising your own children, them being married, and successful, and having your home and safe, being able to pay your bills, and still at this time in your life when you could be retired just on cruises every month, you've decided to cruise a little bit, dip in the pool a little bit, and also serve first responders. And so before we close out this segment, I want to say to our listeners that you're not listening to a conversation that's been curated to suit a certain way, but you're also listening to a conversation with me. And yes, they're my guest, but these individuals I have actually spent time with in their home. We've gone to dinners together. We've talked on the phone, and we go back and forth about what they're doing and how I'm a part of it. And you hear about that later. But what I can say is everything they say about their dynamic is exactly why we've come to the moment where you all get to meet them. Because when I first met them, I saw a couple who were a team. And more than their message and their work, it was them as a couple, as a man, as a woman who got it. And so we're going to have another episode that we'll do live in person because they're in the Phoenix area with me. And we will talk a little bit more to the family dynamic piece. Today, we're giving you a little bit of both because we have a special event at Serving First Responders. We're doing a big launch and things like that. They've done so much work, and we want to share with the community but the backstory and how this came to be is so important. So we're spending a little bit of time here, but we will be right back after a brief word from our sponsors as we delve into more of this good stuff. Get ready, guys. It's going to get even better. We are back with Ty and Karen Doolittle, my phenomenal friends who I feel are definitely role models to me that represent what I love to see in the world. And so they're probably not old enough to be my parents, but I look up to them that way. And
well, some days I feel like it.
Especially with that gray that's sticking out on the top of your head.
All that gray hair.
Yeah, I went to the hairdresser today. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, guys! In the first segment, you guys heard the backstory, some of it. Listen, we God has been good to us because there's so much we have to share with you all about Ty and Karen. But you guys heard a story about how a man and woman come together in service to each other, their family, and then the community, and what makes it truly work. And so we're just excited about that. The question I'm going to dig into is a little bit more about you, Ty, as being a combat veteran, a law enforcement professional. You faced numerous challenges throughout your career, and I feel like you touched on this a little bit already, but we wanted you to tie down for us that it factor. How have these experiences influenced your perspective on resilience and service? We kind of got a little bit, but tell us how all that came together to get you into the space of resilience and service. Because now you're serving first responders to be resilient and go back into service in their purpose. What does that look? What was that trigger for you?
Well, that's a great question, and that's definitely that's a one sentence question with a 4-page answer for sure. Hopefully this will kind of tell us that I've learned so many lessons from other leaders that I've been around in the military and policing, and not all of them did I learn because they did great things. I learned how not to do things. Like, I'll give you an example. I went to combat as a 21-year-old Marine, just turned 21. I was a platoon sergeant of 11 guys. We were over in Mogadishu, and I wasn't prepared for it. I thought we were going on a humanitarian mission. It turns out it's a combat zone. We're throwing lead down range quite a bit. And I worked with a guy there named Mike Cahill. He was an old school Marine. He was tough as a $2 steak, and but just like what an amazing leader. He taught me some great things on how to look out for people, how to look out for your troops. Back then there was we come back from our daily missions or whatever, and if we were got in firefights, our debrief was, well, you can go talk to the chaplain or you can go get a bottle of whiskey from supply. And that was it. That was your debrief. And, it didn't really make a lot of sense. And then when I finally made it back home from Mogadishu, being in combat for 3 months, and just let me say that my time is just little. When I look at some of our vets that have been serving since I got out, I mean, they amaze me. Multiple combat tours, and home, so my heart goes out to them. But when I got back, it was, my debrief time was, if you're feeling if you're feeling all messed up in the head, then we'll send you to the psych ward. If not, you can go home on leave. That was it. And so I went from shooting people on Monday to dinner at my dad's on Friday.
Oh my gosh. And
so it was a big change. And there was no, hey, you might have some trouble, right?
Yeah.
You might have difficulty assimilating into things. Luckily, touch wood for me, I was able to get through a lot of those things. Some of those issues that took 20 years, but I also realized that there had to be something better. I just didn't know how that was going to manifest. When we first got together and we were first got married, it was, don't touch me while I'm sleeping because you never know how I'm going to wake up.
Right.
Lots of things. And Karen touched on dad picks where he sits first. One of our first dates. We're going to date ourselves. We went to see this movie called Titanic. I know a lot of people think it's a classic.
That is my favorite movie.
We went and saw it in the theater on the day after Christmas. So it was packed. And Karen had not really seen that stress manifest yet. Yeah. And she's like, come on, we got to get a good seat. And I was like, and I froze. I said, you just go get a seat. I'll come find you. And I moved to my back to the wall because it was a sea of people. And I had no confidence in being able to control what was going on. And it was, I wouldn't say it was a panic attack, but it was definitely, circle the wagons, bring things in close, get what you can control. And, I was able to move to a wall, saw everybody move past me and, okay, get control. And I went and I found her and we watched the movie. We'd been dating for, I guess we've been dating for a year because it was the first time we took our parents out to kind of meet together. And so I had to have this panic attack in front of her parents and my folks and had to go like, ooh. So that's where we began from, to the point where, as Karen says, dad sits first, right?
Yeah.
We know that, okay, big crowd, dad sits on the outside. He doesn't get in the middle of a crowd. We went to a celebration last night up here in Verrado, and Kool Gang was playing, and I mean, just big crowd of people. Luckily, we were on the outside of it. Not totally removed, but on the outside, where the first thing I kept looking for is, where's my escape routes? If we got to get out of here, how are we getting out of here?
Right.
Even to the point when we took a vehicle down there early in the day because we knew it was going to be packed and we didn't want to have to walk home. Karen parks to get good access to the event. I thought, no, we're not going to leave there because I want to park to get good egress from the events. How do we get out of there?
Right. You're still in combat.
That's my mindset.
It's become a mindset.
Absolutely. So, I learned some things on, okay, maybe a bottle of whiskey or going to the psych ward is not the best way to decompress from an event, but made it through. When I knew that I wanted that structure of that paramilitary type environment. So policing was very logical for us. And Karen's brother had been a police officer for kind of about 10 years at that point. And so I picked his brain, and I knew that was kind of where we were going to go. And it took a little while. I started policing right away. Or once I started policing right away, I was like, okay, this feels like this is where I'm supposed to be. This feels like my home as far as
what's next for you.
Doing work, right? Yeah, absolutely. I did a couple years on beach patrol, which is a little strange. Here I am, a rookie police officer driving ATVs up and down the beach, and a little bit of Baywatch type stuff, and definitely not the Baywatch body, but I did what I could. in those early years,
photos.
In the early years, I started dealing with gangsters, like guys in gangs. And one thing I've never liked bullies, and most gangsters I find are bullies.
That's what the whole gang is about. It's bullying.
Absolutely.
And people think it's a family, but it's not. It's really nepotism. It's bullying. Yeah.
It's all about feed me. So I kind of felt led there. One of the things that I've been very fortunate is that I always surround myself with better people. I tell people if I'm the smartest person in the room, I need to get out. I'm in the wrong room. So I've plugged into some amazing people in the world of policing, friends for life. Like absolutely, I can call them up and be like, "Hey, we got to do some dirt," and they're going to show up. Right? I don't have to ask questions. They're there. But I made sure I got around people that I knew were going to help us move forward. Just incredible teammates. And I'll give you first names of some of them, like Kieran, Eric, Sandy, Jeff, another Jeff, just people that I knew, they absolutely believed in what we were doing and taught me how to be a better police officer. Steve is another one, lifelong friend, was my very first field trainer. We're still, we talk at least twice a month, three times a month. Just friends for life, but not only friends, but people that help me be a better person. And not all lessons that I learned in policing were good. A lot of lessons I learned were, hey, if you want to have your marriage go south, this is what you do.
Wow.
I know a lot of great cops, really, really successful cops.
Right.
And you can ask their ex-wives. Right. So in policing, I balanced that desire to do well in my career, but it never trumped the desire to do well in our marriage.
To do well in your marriage.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, not the desire to do well for humanity as well is what I've learned about you.
And it comes back to his good moral compass. Right. He's just a good, solid human being. Like he has good morals, good values, and that never are those compromised.
Exactly. And that's the dynamic too, that's what makes a person a person. And so when we talk about, there's people who influence, and then there's people who influence and impact. And I talk about the triple I effect of leadership, which is influence, impact, and then investment and income. Because influence is easy, in my opinion. You can just go on, you can get on a microphone and have a podcast and become influential. You can go on social media and say a few lines, and then you got 1 million followers. That's kind of where the influence is. But when it becomes impact is who you are and what you do with the influence that you've attained by maybe a one-off or even consistent actions and behaviors over time. But impact comes from the character, in my opinion, and because that will either leave a positive, and impact and influence could be positive or negative. Like Ty said, he learned a lot of great things, met a lot of great people, but then he also probably, I would say, saw a lot of things that he did not necessarily approve of, but because of his character, he decided and made a moral compass that he can live with for the rest of his life after that. And so this leads me into the question I have for you, Karen. Your commitment to education and advocacy is obviously evident, and it didn't change because you teamed up with your husband in serving first responders, right? So how do you believe education plays a role in supporting and empowering first responders, really, when it comes down to it?
I think part of that is that just articulation of message. It's about being authentic when you tell your story, because this is the only story we have, right? And even in education, the amount of student teachers that I've been, asked to take over the years, because there's an understanding that, for lack of a better word, I put out a good product because I care, and I teach good concepts that are really important, not only in the classroom, not only in your career, but of who you are. And one of that leads to something that we talk a lot about is we have mentors in our life that we go to because we've learned to become fruit inspectors. We inspect the fruit of the people who are speaking into us or over us. Is that the life? Is that the result? Is that the end product that we are looking for? And so we really do get around fruity people, we call them. They're very fruity.
We just want to check the fruit on the tree.
Yeah.
If the fruit on the tree is not where we set our values, then why are we engaging that?
Yeah. And so that ties into sort of that, even with education, you will have, just like Ty has, or had, is people above you that are trying to direct you or speak into your life, and yet their marriage, their work, balance, life kind of relationship is right. So who you taking your income? We teach your input from, and we teach that to our kids as well. And we teach that's what's going to be paying forward. Is that really, here's a couple that you can trust. We're fruity people because we've been fruit inspectors, and so just like yourself, we surround ourselves with good people. Yes. We've inspected the fruit on the tree. Right. And so the people that we are bringing to support and help you in first responders, you can understand and trust that they're good people. Yeah. That they have that desire to help. Yeah. It's not, like you said before, it's not about success, about wealth, and there's other success components. Yes. That we look at as well. What is your heart?
Where's your heart?
Where is your heart? And we've had nothing but with the providers that we're working with serving first responders have been nothing but, I believe in you. Yeah. I believe in what you're trying to do to help other people that have served.
Absolutely.
And so it's really it's just good quality support that we've been able to sort of bring together, And
right.
part
of it is, I think there's a phrase, is a rising tide raises all ships. I've worked with some of those people we talked to. They've been through divorce, and hey, there's no judgment, because listen, it's not easy.
No.
My only regret in that is, could I have done something different and maybe help them get through this? I don't sit in judgment of anybody, that I've worked with, and the only thing I feel bad is that they have to go through the pain of what a divorce and can bring. And, nobody goes into a marriage or a career saying, you know what, I want to work at this career for 10 years,
Right.
get my divorce out of the way. Nobody plans that.
Nobody has.
Right.
Nobody.
And,
Yeah.
There are many days I didn't particularly like him,
Yeah.
but
Right.
I loved him, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So, we want to be able to be an example of, hey, they made it through. They made it
Yes.
through. And, I'll get into this, but there was a senior police officer that I worked with who was just, he's a legend, an absolute legend in policing. And when he retired, shortly after he retired, he got divorced. And this is a long time marriage. And I just think
Right.
that breaks my heart, because this is the happiest time of our life. This is a time where we come together even more so. We're no longer going teaching and policing and going off in different directions.
Yeah.
We're coming together, and that's what we want. We don't want to hear another story about somebody's marriage not working out. We don't
Right.
want to hear another story of so-and-so took his life.
Taking their life.
I've been through that. I can't stand the sound of bagpipes anymore because I've been to too many funerals.
Right.
Sometimes, we hear about somebody, they took their life with their gun, and that's terrible and it's sad. And a really good friend of mine did that about 10 years ago. And just, I still feel for him today. But another guy he was godlike to me in policing. He went through a very traumatic event early on in his career. He watched his mentor killed in the line of duty, had to step over and put the bad guy down. And this guy he was a legend in policing. And when he retired, it took him a couple of years, but he killed himself with a bottle. And the ironic thing is he was such an advocate for critical incident stress. It's just, unfortunately, he wasn't able to access himself and take care of that, because, he's a great guy, just a phenomenal leader, and he's left a mark on this world. But I just don't want to go to another one of them.
Yeah.
I just don't want to have. I don't want to
hear
get
about
that
it again. Yeah.
I don't want that phone call saying, "Hey, did you hear?"
We'd much rather be proactive than
Yes.
reactive now.
Yes.
So if we can support and help,
So,
in that.
so when we talk about other people's struggles in whether it's policing or firefighting or teaching, we talk about the struggles in that we've seen it, and we were fortunate enough to make it through. We've had a lot of those same struggles, and we just don't want anybody else to have those struggles.
And or go it alone, or not
Yes.
have resources,
Yes.
or not know how to pivot in resilience.
And I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of resources, Dr. Alisa, because Ty has done a phenomenal job of seeking out resources for
Right.
himself.
Right.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours on the phone, or, trying to tell your story again to get the support you need. And that's what we really wanted. Like I said before, that one-stop shop kind of thing that,
Yes.
we have it for you. We have it.
Yeah.
We've done the legwork, and now it just is a matter of you just put your hand up and go, yes,
Yeah.
help me. I need help in that area. You may not need all of our providers, but what do you need? You can cherry pick from.
And it's
They're
here.
there. It's
Right.
all there for you, right?
Exactly.
Karen's got an amazing way of just communicating with people. You touched on education. She's very, very intelligent. We tell people a lot of times, between the two of us, we have 10 years of university. Karen has 9 of them.
it's
I've
more.
got 1, but together that's 10.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I have a PhD, a public high school diploma.
And
Very
that's
proud of that.
right.
Yeah.
But that's the one that they give you for sitting in an institution.
Yes.
You've got all those other years of actually doing the thing
That's right.
and
That's
being relevant in the thing and knowing the thing and overcoming the thing. That's the biggest PhD that I have, is my life experience and my work experience. No one can take that from me.
Yeah.
So, Ty, before we go into a little bit more about, and we've gotten droplets of what serving first responders is and what it stands for through who you are. And that's why it's for me, it's one and the same. And because everything you've heard is exactly what they bring to the platform, and they've curated the platform. But I have one other question for you about you're coming through and being resilient, because obviously we know that the resilience mindset is there in you and your wife Karen and your family. You've created resilience, like even in the structure of how do we support him. And I would say really quick before I ask you this question to those who are listening, you might not be a first responder family. Your family might be an attorney and a chef. Whatever dynamic is, I hope that you heard how simply Karen and their children pivoted in moments to facilitate whatever was needed to support a veteran, a combat veteran, and an officer who fought gang members and took gangs apart and put them away or whatever needed to be rehabbed. He did that work and they learned how to pivot. Well, you might say, well, what's his excuse for needing this accommodation? What's her excuse for needing this accommodation? Well, as humans, based on our journey and the trauma and our responses to trauma, our journey would look different. It might be that sometimes people don't even know where their trauma came from. It's just that I do not like sitting in a restaurant next to a door. I personally don't. I don't know why. That makes me anxious. And we've talked about this, and I'm like, of course we can sit wherever dad wants to sit, because he has that need. But then I'm like, I have the need where I don't want to sit by a door. And it's weird that we had this conversation. So in relationships of any sort, being able to be non-judgmental and relaxed and calm and say, how can I serve you? You see, Ty and Karen, our listeners and viewers, have not only been serving their neighborhoods, their communities, and in their professions, they serve each other. They serve their children. They serve their family first. And if you guys didn't hear that, I wanted to highlight that right here before we take into our next kickoff. But that is what service and being accommodating. And listen, we're going to have judgment. I think the word non-judgmental is a little bit too much, but it's the best word I can say. It's where you feel the sense and the urge to judge. Well, but then you're like, and you come back to your space. I think that's what non-judgmental means for me, because we judge. As humans, we're always measuring things based on our own values and ideals. But when you're able to come to the pace, okay, this person needs support and I'm here to serve them, and helping them meet their needs is going to help me meet my needs. Karen exemplified that. I want you guys to really, if you didn't catch that, go back and listen about 15 minutes ago in this episode. And so here's the question I have for you, Ty. In your journey, pivotal moment in your career, if you have one of those moments that you can share with us, and Karen, you can tap into, where and how did you navigate as like a significant challenge? Because I want them to draw from your strength and your mindset of resilience as they listen. How did you overcome it? And what did you learn from that experience that you will share with us? How did you overcome it? What did you learn in something that was pivotal?
Absolutely. There's just before I get into that, probably the thing that drives us the most in what we've been talking about and what we've been through is that I believe that we are here to be victors, not victims. It's very easy to hold on to that label of victim in your identity, and if you want to find a home in that, sure, right? We've always been told if you're going through hell, don't stop and get a room. Yeah. So we choose to be victims. It's not about It's not about how many times you get knocked down; it's how many times you get back up. Yeah. And that's really what we are doing as serving first responders. Is we're trying to get everything out of the way so that you can move forward. You don't have to stay in that world of being a victim. And it doesn't matter if it's a combat veteran. Maybe it's it doesn't matter what your trauma has been. It doesn't matter what that hurdle is. You can either choose to have it sit in front of you, or you can choose to move around it. It can be an obstacle or it can be a blockage. We just make them obstacles. Mm-hmm. You stick handle around them. For all my Canadian friends, you got to do that stick handling. Hockey players get it. So we just, we've just made that decision that we're gonna stick a handle around anything that comes in front of us. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to be victors. We choose not to celebrate being a victim. We choose to be celebrate being a victor. That's what this country was founded on. When you talk about that pivotal moment, I'll tell you exactly. It was July 5th, about 10 a.m., July 5th, 2019.
Okay.
The 4th of July, we went over to some friend's house and we went for some fireworks, and it was great. And then I chose to drive home through this kind of the back streets where everybody is shooting off fireworks. It's dark out. We've got smoke coming overhead and lots of banging and explosions. And I was like, this is not good. As a combat veteran, it's like, Then we make it home. The neighbor down the street, great people. They put on a massive fireworks show, but it was never ending. It went on and on and on and on. And as long as I can see fireworks, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I can only be so okay for so long. So the next morning, go to get my car washed, and I get the car washed, and I'm like just not feeling kind of like tense. And on the way back, I pull over into the high school parking lot not far from us, and I start weeping, and I'm like, okay, get it together. And I couldn't get it. I couldn't bring it together. It felt like someone was standing on my chest, and it was just like, oh my goodness. And it was a combination of what was happening the night before. Our oldest son was getting ready to move to go off to university, and it just everything started piling up, and I was like, oh man, but I have seen what happens when you choose to stay a victim. I've seen what happens when you choose not to take the handout that is there, and it's I shouldn't even say handout, a hand up. When you choose not to take that hand up, and so as I was sitting there, and I'm saying, okay, well, listen, are you going to talk about it? Are you going to be about it? And it was that time that I needed to be about it. I called the VA crisis line. I said, I'm in crisis. I'm having a tough go. I need to talk to somebody.
Wow.
And I needed to talk to somebody that was not going to sit across the table from me at Christmas. I needed to talk to somebody that wasn't going to walk into a coffee shop in the small town where we lived in or see at church. I needed to talk to somebody that was going to listen to what I was going through and help me through it. And I reached out, and I was like, I need to do this. And it was, like I say, I can remember how impactful it was because I can tell you what the time and date and where it was and how I felt. But that was the first step into a journey to move forward. And my son came driving by, and he pulls up and sees me in the parking lot. He pulls up, and I just kind of waved him off, and he thought that my dad had died. And I was like, no, I'm fine. And I get home, and Karen's like, where you been? And I was like, well, this is kind of what just happened. And my son was like, well, then I won't go to school. I said, no, I mean, you're evicted. Sorry, you can't stay here. This is my journey to walk through. This is not, this is for us to deal with. Mom and I will deal with this. You're out of the nest now. You need to go and build your life. And so it was at that point where I really started moving forward, and I really plugged into putting it at God's feet. That was right about the time I got my priorities switched around.
Yes.
No longer a gang cop.
Yes.
Right. I was going to be a son of a king first. And, Dr. Annie, who, it took me a little bit to get the administration side of it done.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we got you an appointment at this clinic. And I went in, and I said, hey, my name is Ty Doolittle. I'm a veteran. I'm supposed to come. And they're like, well, we don't have your name here. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I said, I've made this.
Yeah.
And I'm doing my best to stay in control. Obviously, I'm elevated. And this lady comes around the corner. She said, I got you. It's all good. She didn't have any paperwork on me. She didn't know anything about what I was going through. She heard what my struggle was.
Yeah.
Saved my life. Saved our life.
Yes.
And that was like August 12th of 2019. So it took a little while to get in there.
Yeah.
And the first time I sat down with her, and we couldn't be more opposite. Right? We couldn't be more opposite, but she's a Christian, and she said, I got you. And that started my journey. That started our road to wellness. And long journey. A lot of we definitely kept the Kleenex company in business, right? Through COVID, when COVID happened, I was told don't come to work. I've worked in teams my whole career, whether it's the Marine Corps, whether it's policing, gang policing, it was a team. We had small teams, but we always worked together. I never pulled a car over by myself. I knew that I had Eric and I had Pete and I had Sandy and Kieran, and they were going to show up, and I never had to worry about it. And now COVID hits and they say, work from home upstairs.
I know.
And it was okay. This is how am I going to get through this crisis? A year and a half of working from home, year and a half of going from being gang enforcement,
kicking doors down,
kicking indoors and pulling over cars and walking bars and doing all those things, to all of a sudden now I'm calling Mrs. Smith saying, hey, your barking dog complaint, we're not going to be able to send anybody until tomorrow. Is that going to be okay? And not to belittle that work, but it was
but that was not what your assignment was.
It was a massive change, and
Yes.
this came also as a result of a lot of injuries that I've sustained, some on the job, some off the job. But all these things kind of came together right at like this perfect crescendo. Our son moving out, changing my career focus, getting my priorities right, having a teenage daughter, going through teenage daughter stuff, and all these things, and then okay, you're going to have to make all those changes. Oh, and by the way, do it from home. You can't leave your house.
Oh gosh.
And so all these things just started coming together, and Annie was there. Dr. Annie was there. She walked me through all the stuff. Sometimes we're meeting on Zoom for probably about 7-8 months. We met every 2 weeks on Zoom.
Right.
Great. It worked. And made it through. I was never able to return to full duty, to the point where actually I took a medical retirement because of just the way
everything played out.
Where we were living in Washington State, and the injuries that I've sustained, it just kept getting worse, and I was getting migraines almost daily, and throwing up, and getting sick, and all this other stuff. So when we got the tap on the shoulder and said, yeah, you know what, we're approving you for long-term disability, but basically a medical retirement, we had to make a change. And boy, full stop, we're making a change. Right. And so we, with the help of some mentors, we decided that we were going to make a move to Arizona for health reasons. And all these doors that were getting shut on me for the last 2-3 years were massive doors being opened up. We're going here. We're going here now. Yeah.
And that it was so evident that we both were like, this is bizarre, because we've been, close, no. And then all of a sudden these green lights. And it's like, okay, this is where we're supposed to
go. You were being guided. And so I'm going to pivot over to you, Karen, because he's having this massive experience, and everything is at this point in your family sort of revolving around him, which you guys are managing together. But it wasn't just him. It wasn't him standing, obviously, but he wasn't the only one experiencing. And so for our first responders, we're going to tap into this, like, what now? Okay, I can identify with that, because we want this recording to go the distance for our first responders as well. Especially this segment is for them. Tell us, as the wife of a first responder that's serving and experiencing this, what were your thoughts, your initial feelings? And then how did you have to pivot as an individual, then as his wife? What did that look like?
So for the seeking of therapy, I was like all about it. Yep, 100%. That is awesome. During that time as well, he was having surgeries, and there's other stuff.
Like you said, it was a crescendo of perfect storms. Yeah.
Right. And so it was just like one punch in the gut after the next. It was a very challenging time. But I think for when he was having his, like, the medical side of it, it was just about being there, helping support whatever I could do. Right. But the mental health side of it, what I chose to do, especially when it was at Zoom at home, is I would choose to leave.
Yes. So he can have his time. Yeah. So
he can have full privacy in the upstairs office or wherever he was choosing to do it. And there was a time where he would go and he says, you know what, we've got people coming over, or the kids are, I'm going to go and sit in the car.
Yes.
And do it. So just allowing whatever it was that he needed to work through.
Fully present for his healing.
And not always having to, I was very cognizant in my mind of not being, okay, what did you talk about today? What did you cover today? How are you feeling today? Because I was just kind of gauging off how he was managing and if he wanted to share. Probably my question more so was it a good session today? Something along those lines, but it wasn't pointed at what did you cover?
And the key to that was communication.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That was
We
my
had
next.
to
Yeah.
communicate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was my next part because it doesn't help anybody to shut down and it's tough. Like, again, kudos to him for being willing to communicate that.
Mhm.
But I was just very aware of what I was asking. I don't want, he doesn't need to replay the nitty gritty. He doesn't want me to hear half the stuff that he's talking about anyway. And that was the
Yeah.
point that he kept bringing up was, it's somebody who I will never sit across the table from at a coffee shop or, or Christmas dinner.
Yeah.
That was their thing to work through. And there's a couple of times I got on the Zoom and, and just said hi, because I'm forever grateful for her. She's our angel,
Yeah.
that came in at the right time and was able to support. I don't know. I mean, I'm just kind of on the outsides doing the best I can. I don't know
Right.
how to support him mentally, in
Right.
terms of what
Right.
he's. So,
And you were supporting him mentally. I believe the flip side of what you just said is that you were supporting him mentally by not prying
yeah,
into what would be his person and his journey of healing. And
Right.
and I hear you say that, and it's one of the most beautiful things I learned after I went through divorce, that I don't have to know everything.
no,
And I don't have to take responsibility for everything in my partner's life. I just have to be a safe place
right,
and a support system of whatever they need. Not what I think I need to give them and not what I think I want to give them. And if it's about your partner, then it's about the prescription they write. And that's the one you follow.
Yeah.
And you let that kind of unfold naturally. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I just wanted to point that out to our listeners and viewers because that's important.
And I think what's it also that I would like to share is that for the work with for serving first responders, what we've been quite cognizant of is having therapists, that understand first responders.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that that piece is already in place.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know about Annie's background with response or that kind of first response, but
Yeah, she was great. One of the things, what I think has been so helpful with Karen supporting me through, post-traumatic stress is that, she doesn't have to know everything. And I always use the analogy of if I broke my ankle and I was walking slow on crutches, I wouldn't need Karen to break her ankle too to understand what I was going through.
Right.
She just needs
Come
to
on.
see that we're walking slow.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
share all
It hurts.
yeah. I don't share all the things that I spoke with Dr. Annie about, but she just understands that I'm having a tough day, or hey, he's having a great day, he's having a bad day, he's having just a blah day, all those things. I don't have to tell her all the intimate details, like the nitty gritty. She just needs to know that today is a tough day, and she's going to slow down the walk so that we can keep up. Far so often, people say, well, why don't you tell me what you went through? I don't think you want that.
No.
You don't need to break your ankle to help me recover from my broken ankle.
Right.
So, and if there's people that are listening out there that are going through the same thing, give your partner that room to just get through it, right?
Yes.
Get through those things and
Work through it.
Yeah, it's not keeping secrets. It's not unloading on everything. It's you guys will figure it out. This is what worked for us. Is that I didn't have to tell her everything. She's such an amazing woman that she was able to understand that. Okay, Ty just had a heavy session, or Ty's having a tough go of this today.
And does Ty need me to stay out of his space, or does Ty want to come cuddle with me?
Yeah.
Or does Ty need a pot of soup? So the question is, like you all been saying, he's like, no, but I need soup. I'm speaking my love language. I need soup sometimes and cuddles. Okay. Soup and cuddles.
There you go.
But the point is, you guys keep saying this from the beginning, is communication. And communication is communication. It's worth and actions. But you gotta be able to read your partner, and it's the synchronicity, but then both parties have to be articulate about it. And where she's articulately saying, you know what, babe, if you need me, I'm here. And you're able to say, babe, I need you to be over there. And babe, I need you to be here right now. And being able to say, no one can read your mind. It could be so confusing to understand what someone needs, even after you've been with them for 30 years, because this experience has not happened in the 30 years we've been together. This is now. This is crescendoing now. We've never had all these perfect storms at the same time. So I hope that everyone's hearing is being able to be a good study of your partner, and also being able to allow them, and then also being able to communicate what on earth it is you need. And so I've watched you all sitting in your presence and listening to you, watching you conversate, share your passion. And it's always that synchronicity of just like, oh, but you let him speak anyway, but like, oh, don't say that, but it's
plenty of times I have done that though.
Right. But you don't do it in public. So he doesn't feel humiliated. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I just hope that we're getting that. And so this is the point before we close out the segment where I just want you guys in your own words, tell us the mission and vision and what serving first responders is all about. Well, for me, it's what you guys embody. Your whole message has been, but just tell us so we can tap in on that, and then we'll go to the next segment.
For sure. Well, I'm just going to kind of put it into view, or into kind of a different picture. So most of my career, I did gang enforcement, and that's kicking in doors, that's pointing guns in people, that's doing movie stuff. I don't use the word stuff. Usually I use the other S word, but doing movie stuff. And it was great. It was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. I didn't always enjoy.
And by the way, guys, he looked like he was on the set. You guys have to go to the website. You'll see this photo. It's behind them, but listen, he looked. I'm like, oh my gosh, Papa, you look like it.
It's all lighting.
It's all lighting.
It's all lighting. I got to do some really cool stuff, and I always put it down as I worked with a team that helped me. We all helped each other. We all had our roles, but man, we worked together as a finely tuned unit, and we were doing the stuff, kicking in doors and arresting people for homicides and taking down drug networks, and all that stuff was great. And then it's not. So how do I make that transition? I haven't written a resume since 2001, right? Before Indeed, before, LinkedIn, right?
It was a piece of paper and hand it to somebody.
Yeah.
I love those days.
Computers never looked at my resume.
No.
Right.
And how do I take all those things that I did and how do I take that persona and make that next step? So you look at a guy, and I'll just use me as an example, right? I'm up here. I'm retiring, and I'm not that guy anymore. Karen says, "Hey, can you go get some milk and some eggs from the store?" And I'm like, "That was a big deal. I hunted bad guys, and you're asking me." And I need to feel better. So we want to empower people to be able to be okay with what's happening next. So I'm stressed out of, well, what's my pension look like? We're going to have Frank come in and talk about, here's where you are in your pension. Everybody's been to the mall, and you got to go to JCPenney, but you don't know where it is. You go to that big board, and it says right at the bottom, you are here. That's what Frank is going to talk about. You are here. Unfortunately, most first responders have 2 families and half a pension. And now you got to figure out, how are you going to make ends meet? So that's what Frank's going to show you how to do that. So, all right, I'm down here a little bit. Okay, I got to get a job. I've never written a resume in 20 plus years. How do I do that? Okay, Dr. Whyte's going to show us how to do that. I don't want to work for somebody else. I want to start my own business. We've got great people from the SCORE organization. It's an organization of retired entrepreneurs who mentor others getting started. Oh, okay, I'm not sure what my identity is. Okay, we're going to have, Sam and come in and with his team and show us how we can start, creating that new identity, that I'm no longer a firefighter. I'm no longer the prison guard. I'm a husband. I'm a dad. I'm all these things, right? okay, now we've taken all that stuff out, and now I'm at ease. I'm not stressed out. So when Karen says, "Hey, can you get some milk and eggs?" I'm on it, woman. That's my mission. I'm going to tear that up, right? So we've taken all those things that can cause that anxiety to make to that next level. We're taking all that stuff away, and we hope we provide it in a way that people feel that they have access to this, no judgment, to be able to, like I say, and look it towards retirement, look towards that next step in your career with anticipation. And our seminar is there for both husband and wife. I tell people 20 years I carried the gun, 20 years Karen carried the weight. She had to deal with the phone calls in the middle of the night. Hey, don't be alarmed, I'm coming home. I shattered my hand.
Wow.
Hey, hospital again.
Yeah. Listen, make sure you set the alarm because we got some death threats. I just found out about it. Or, hey, we got some death threats. We're moving to a new country, which is what we did. All these things, Karen did all of that stuff. When we moved from Canada to the United States, she was in the middle of doing her master's. There was a toddler and a kindergarten kid as we were getting ready to do all this stuff, and a death threat came in, and I was still working gangs. So all I had to do was go to work and kick ass and be around great guys to help me kick ass. Karen had to keep all those balls in the air.
Buy a home, sell a home, move,
absolutely,
get the kids settled.
Absolutely. So when we provide these seminars, we really stress that this is not just for the first responder; it's for both. Because
we want spouses to attend.
Yeah, because I can guarantee you that if we're sitting there in that seminar and I can say, "Oh, I'm fine," Karen's gonna be the first one to notice when I'm not fine. Every time we talk about getting a job, you get all pissy. Sorry for the lack of a better term, but yeah, you get worked up, you get anxiety, all those things. So that we really want to stress that this is something for both people to do. This is something that, we're brokers. Karen and I we're not mental health experts. We're not small business experts. All we are is we're a couple that made it through the fire. We were able to, navigate through a lot of these things through different organizations. The VA, number one, it really helped us and got us plugged into some amazing people. We moved down here in November of 22. We knew one couple, that's it. And because of, we were on that path through some people that helped us make that next step. We've been able to meet a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of organizations that are pushing, what our mission is at Serving First Responders. They help push that forward. So when you ask us, what are we about? We're about helping that couple that is in the last year of their career. And it's like, okay, you're not alone, right? We provide a snapshot of where you are financially and what you can do. We provide an opportunity for you to make that next career shift, whatever that is, re-enter the workforce in a new role. We provide an opportunity for you to develop your own business. Maybe you've always had that thing you wanted to do. Now we're gonna show you that there's resources out there. We provide you that safe haven to have the mental health journey part of that. But more than anything, I think that I want to stress is we provide there's community. Because here's one of the things that I learned. When I left policing, all the people that I worked with, they weren't calling me to see how we're doing because it's not designed that, right? The police department is not designed to take care of retirees. There's other organizations to do that. The military, the Marine Corps is not designed to take care of people once they get out. That's what the VA is for. And when people don't have that community to plug into, they feel let down. So we're here to show you that, hey, you know what? There is a community. There is a community of people out there that want to help you do better. We want to make sure that, that job that when you got the phone call from the recruiter and you were so excited, you're over the moon. I got the job as a firefighter. I got in with prisons. I got in with policing. That excitement, that fire, you were able to catch just a portion of that as you leave this industry and like, man, I'm so excited. We are finally going to open up our bakery. I've been wanting to do this forever, whatever it is. I just got an offer for a CFO job or head of security for this corporation, whatever it is. We want to provide that excitement so that you have something to look forward to. Yeah.
No,
to touch on that?
Nothing at all. No, that was great.
Sorry,
Awesome.
I didn't mean to word vomit all over you, but this is probably
that
my
is
new
exactly
passion.
what we wanted. We wanted to know what is this all about after everything you guys have brought through and bring to the table of serving first responders. What is it really that people are going to get from it? And you broke it down so nice. And this is where I get to say I am blessed and honored to be a part of this mission and vision that they have created for first responders. A lot of people might be surprised, but in my journey as workforce, I have always been I've taken the extra mile in training on how to work with first responders and their transportation. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys I know everything, no, because I have not been a first responder. I've, like Karen, have been an educator from preschool all the way to college and university. So that's been my journey. And then specializing and training and working for the last 15 years or so in workforce development, learning the trends, but also being able to connect with humans where they're at, listening to them and allowing their true who they are, helping them charter where they want to go with based on who they are and what they're most passionate about now, because that changes over time for everyone. So I get to be one or the workforce development specialist that speaks with the first responders and coach and support their journey on what's next for them in the area of work and possibly business and entrepreneurship. So I am honored to be a part of that. We will be right back after a word from our sponsors for Flip the Script. We're going to have some fun with Karen and Ty in our next segment. We'll be right back. Hello, everyone. We are back with our second to last segment. We have the fun option of playing Flip the Script. And so Ty and Karen and my friend in the back, what's his name?
Koba.
Hey, Kola. Come here. Say hello. Say hello to you. If you're listening, we have a beautiful dog named Kola on set today. We love having our pets. Where's my pet? I don't have one. Anyway, so let's play Flip the Script. This is where I get to ask you guys rapid fire questions. And some of them are hilarious and have nothing
man.
to do.
Oh boy.
Yeah, let's get that stress up there.
So let's go for it. So, Ty, tell us one time in all your work of service and combat and military, what's one of the most embarrassing things that happened to you? And how did you pivot?
Oh, there's a lot to choose from. A lot to choose from. I'm just wondering what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. Okay, I say dumb things. I say some dumb things, but I do a lot of I say a lot of sayings, things that kind of euphemisms and stuff. So working one night when I'm in patrol, I'm with an officer. She just got out of the academy, and I'm not that far ahead of her. We go to an alarm call. A woman had just got home from cancer treatment and was trying to shut her alarm off, and it went off. So we get a call, hey, you got a house alarm. We get there, the lady's there. She's like, this is my house. I just got it to shut off. And so we just talked to her. Everything's okay. Yeah, everything's fine. I said, okay, well, you know what? We're just going to get out of your hair and get moving. She just came from cancer treatment and she didn't have any hair and she had and I'm like, oh my goodness. Michelle, who I'm working with, she goes, did you just, I said, shut up, get in the car. And I'm just like, come on, let's move. Man, have a great day. I hope we were able to help you. And I was like, got in the car, I'm like, can I put my foot in my mouth anymore?
Says the guy with no hair.
Yeah. So, and I think at that time I still had a little bit of hair. So there's karma. They say, we'll show you. Easily probably one of the most embarrassing things I've done.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Listen, if I might say, I've actually said somebody, so when are you due?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I've done that.
I
promise never to wonder about anyone's pregnancy ever again.
Yeah. No.
Shut up.
Yeah.
I've done that. That's one of my embarrassing moments. So Karen, tell us, what does success mean to you?
Oh man.
Oh, she gets the underhanded ones. Like those are great.
Don't worry, you're answering it too.
Success to me is multifaceted. It's just not about money. Back before when I was younger, that would have been my straight answer. Oh my gosh, lots of money in the bank, and great house, and all that wonderful stuff. As we have aged, success to me is very holistic. I think that we are still married, that we still love each other, that we still have fun. That's success. I think that we have raised very independent children that are just kicking butt in life themselves, that is success.
Yeah.
And so is it nice to have money in the bank and, you know, a nice home? And of course it is. Of course it is the nicer, you know, the nicer things of life. But that to us is success. And then, of course, that next piece is that paying it forward. When you can live a life of paying it forward. Ty always talks about what's the best way through a minefield. Well, behind somebody who didn't get blown up. You know, we talk about why would you in a snowstorm, if somebody's already built a path for you, why would you go off on a trail and try to, you know, put in that extra effort and go through the snow drift yourself, go through the path that's already created. And that's what we've tried to do here with serving first responders is we have a path that's already been created for you. Based on what we've done to do the kind of legwork for you in bringing good providers for you to you. You know, it's just a matter of now you choosing to go through that path or down that path yourself. So
Exactly. Wow. And so that brings me to the question, Ty, what is a resilience mindset to you? How would you describe that?
Resilient mindset is it's about choosing, like we said it before, it's choosing to be a victor, not a victim. You know, people say, what's the opposite of success? It's not failure. The opposite of success is quitting. Right? I have made it to where we are because I kept failing. I kept failing. Right? If I fail 50 times but I don't quit, I'm a success. So, you know, resilience is being able to, you know, get back up. I love the scene in I think it's Rocky 3. It's about how hard he hits me. It's not about that. It's how many times am I going to get up? And there's lots of times when I could have just rolled over and just, you know, wet myself and laid in it, but I choose no. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do that. So resiliency, it's having that mindset of, okay, not only am I going to get up for me, but I've got people watching me. I've got, you know, I've got believers who believe in me and I've got doubters who doubt me. And I'm going to prove the doubters wrong and the believers right.
Right.
I'm going to show people that I'm more than what you see. I'm going to show you that I'm an example of what happens when you do keep moving forward and you are resilient. And then the best thing is that we get to show Jack and Kennedy, our kids, this is how you do it. This is how you go through life. I've always thought that, you know, my goal here is to show my son this is how a man is supposed to act. My goal here is to show my daughter that this is how a man is supposed to treat you and how this is how a man is supposed to act, so that when you are looking to set that bar or to basically have that lens, that my dad has set a good lens. And Karen has done that so well. This is how a woman of strength is. This is how, Jack, if you're looking for, you know, that partner in life, this is what she should look like. And, you know, and it's kind of ironic. Our son is a police officer. He's also in the Army National Guard, and he's getting married this summer to a non-teacher. So
That's
kind of set the example. We are entrepreneurs at heart. Our daughter is an entrepreneur. She is working a regular job and building her own brand on the side. So I think we're setting the example of being resilient, getting through it. It's not about quitting. It's about moving forward.
Yeah.
So I think as well about who's in your network.
Wow.
Who are you surrounding yourself? And like we said earlier, we surround ourselves with very fruity people. I think that, you know, you can have people in your life who can bring you down, and you can have people in your life who can bring you up. And we always choose to seek out the latter, you know?
Yes.
We're going to choose to believe. We're going to show that the people who believe in us were a good investment.
Yes, that you were good soil to sow in. Yes. And I get to invest my time, which I believe is the biggest resource any of us humans have, is the resource of time. And I get to invest with you all and impact with you all. It's just like, I'm ecstatic. Like D-Day is coming, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So it's one silly question I'm going to ask. As a couple, what is one thing that really aggravates you about each other, and how do you pivot with it? What
Now,
kind
can
of
we do
mindset do you get?
one? I don't know. Would you like
Yeah.
that alphabetically or numerically?
Chronological,
Yeah.
base it. Yeah.
One thing.
Oh, you go first.
Oh,
I'm not
dear.
starting that one.
He's not getting in trouble. He's like, I'm not getting in trouble.
One thing. Sorry, repeat the question. One thing that.
That's maybe aggravating or irritating
Yes.
that he does, that you have learned to pivot
Oh,
and still keep everything going regardless.
I think the one thing that drives me nuts is sometimes Ty is very black and white. You have to be when in combat. You have to be when hunting murderers, gang members. It's either it's either this or that. And raising our children, and as an educator, I mean, when you step into a classroom, it doesn't matter what grade. When you step in, I was doing a lot of professional development for the district, and you've got, teachers in front of you. You've got 27 different likes and dislikes. You've got 27 different parenting styles.
Yes.
You've got, you've got to run in a gray area.
Yeah.
And so as much as I ride him and have over the years, especially growing a teenage daughter, who is very much like him. Babe, you know what? Let's pull it back a little. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to ground her, take her car, take her phone, take her, we don't need to do all of that. Let's pull that. Right. Let's pull that back a little. So probably that's always been our biggest dance is he thinks I don't discipline enough. I think he
over-disciplines.
But yet really and truly we balance it out. But the gift that he has is even if he does mess up, in terms of being too hard or taking it too far, he will always apologize and reinstate what is going to happen. And so I think that's really powerful for our daughter to have seen. That I in the moment I was heated, and but let's talk about this now and work this out, right? So that's probably the biggest. He's so black and white. Oh my gosh.
What would be okay? There's your shot, Ty. Go for it. Go for it in love. And she knows already.
If Steve Harvey was watching, he would be proud of this next answer. There's nothing that Karen does that makes me crazy. You are not going to get me.
Oh my God!
No, we are all good.
I am sipping water.
I know the answer to it though. It's my attempting to cook. It drives him nuts. I can't cook. I'm sweating. He's sweating. He's like, you know what? Just go sit and I'll take over. Okay. I'm not good in the kitchen, and I know it. So
and okay. Ty still pleads the fifth, basically.
Yeah.
He's like,
see,
she has said, "How can I help you in the kitchen?" I say, "Go sit down."
Yeah. See, and I don't mind being damsel in distress.
Listen, I need to try that in my next life.
Yes.
In my next chapter. I'll be like, I don't know. I can't
I know. Well,
he does that on purpose. You just don't know. I've come over and she's cooked for me. Oh, I'm playing.
No. My mom gave me one good bit of advice before we got married, and that was even with kids, with your marriage, everything in life, start out how you intend it to continue. I never intended to cook, so I never started it.
Okay. I had an aunt who said the same thing to me when I was younger and about to get married too. She said, now don't you go making breakfast in bed right after you guys get married, unless you intend to do breakfast in bed for the rest of your life, because that will and she was absolutely right. So breakfast in bed is a surprise.
Yeah. Right.
Right. And so I just I hope the men that are watching us has learned a lesson from our great fearless leader today. He's like, y'all not getting me in that mess.
Yeah. Right.
I've seen couples, and sometimes women should be the one who shouldn't say anything when that silly question is asked.
I remember watching an episode of Family Feud with Steve Harvey, and they come up there and they're like, okay, top 4 answers on the board. Name something your wife does that drives you crazy. And all 3 men just stood there.
Oh, wow.
They're like, nope.
Not me. Right? I'm not going to hear the end of this.
Both the guys are like, yeah, I'm not answering that one. I'll take the X. And Steve Harvey's like, these some smart men right here. Right?
Oh, my goodness. I believe, because it's funny, because a man would let go of it when she says something, because I've seen women say hideous things on about what that is. And then I've always seen most men plead the fifth or
Yeah.
just be like,
Yeah.
no, she's perfect. You know,
Yeah.
that's a lie, but
That's right.
they know they would never hear the end of it from a woman.
Yeah.
Remember that time?
Not about me.
I'm on Dr. White's show, you did that? Yeah.
We're not doing that today.
Nope.
Awesome. Thank you guys for playing along with me. You guys made that so much fun. Now we get to the segment, where before we do that, I have to ask, what is next for serving first responders? What mindset do you believe is necessary to achieve those goals that you have?
Go ahead, babe.
What's next for us? Well, obviously we have our first seminar coming up, but we're not a one and done show. We're here in the Phoenix market.
Right.
Our goal is we're doing one a month right now. And our goal within 2-3 months is that we're going to be doing 2 a month, one in the East Valley, one in the West Valley. Within 6 months, we want to be doing 3 a month, one in the East Valley, one in the West Valley, one elsewhere in the state of Arizona. Whether it's up in Flagstaff, down in Tucson, Prescott, you name it. We want to make sure that this is the traveling road show. And then within a year and a half, 2 years, this is going to be going national.
Right.
Because what we talked about here today is not exclusive to Arizona. It's not exclusive to British Columbia.
No.
It's exclusive to our community, and we're everywhere. So our son has already expressed interest, saying, "Hey, Dad, like this needs to come to Washington State. We want to expand into Washington State. We want to expand into Nevada. We want this to go national."
A lot
And
of
for
work to
those
do.
who are listening internationally, if this peaks for you, please reach out. If you reach out, you're going to have Ty and Karen's info in the description as well. And we'll talk a little bit more how to connect with them in the end. But you can also reach out to me and I'll definitely connect you. If you're international and you're thinking about how do I get this going, that's also a possibility here because this podcast is all over the globe. So thank you. And we'll get back to from First Responders, what's happening, how to connect with us in just a minute. But this is a segment where we do, it's called Mindset Bites, where I'm going to step away from the microphone and the camera and let Ty and Karen take turns speaking into our audience. What's next for them in terms of resilience? How do you pivot, and just whatever comes up for them to really speak into you. Then we'll come back and wrap up with how to connect directly with Karen and Ty in serving first responders. So guys, the microphone's yours. Take it away.
Okay. Well, you go first.
Well, one thing I'd like to talk about with resilience as well is, we talked about surrounding yourself with good people. Ty and I are firm believers that leaders are readers. And I think it's super important to surround yourself and dive into some great books. I mean, Ty and I have both read 5 Love Languages that really helped us understand each other. What was our love language? How do we best serve each other in those areas? Another one, Get Married, Stay Married. Just wonderful reads that you can just take the time to sort of get into by yourself in those quiet moments that you might have. Gosh, I don't know when those were when we were raising kids and doing all of our careers and everything, but you need to make time. And that's what we're really big on is, those things are important to you. You will make time. And so I would just surround yourself with some great books to help with what it is you're struggling with or wanting to learn more about in helping you move through and become resilient in those areas. So that would be my little add on there, but go ahead, babe.
Yeah, one of the things that I would, as far as we're talking about with books, for those who out there who are listening who are, that alpha male, that or alpha female, that have that leadership drive. John Maxwell books are always an amazing one, but probably the most impactful book that I have ever read that has probably helped me move forward more than anything is Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin. Most people, they've heard of who Jocko is. He runs a very successful podcast. He's a former Navy SEAL who took lessons that he learned in combat, was able to put them into a book and also a leadership company. And how do those lessons apply to the civilian world? The whole gist of the book is that as a leader, you own everything. You are responsible for everything that happens. And if you can't control the action, you control the reaction. So make sure that you plug into something like that. And the other thing I would say is, we talked about association. Most people, I would say, you are the sum of your five closest friends, the people you associate with the most,
Mm.
you are the average of those five. So if you don't like where that is, you might need to level up.
Mm.
If I wanted to be a scratch golfer, I'm not going to go out with duffers. I'm going to go and get around people who make me a better person. I'm going to make sure I level up. I had said that earlier in the podcast, is that, hey, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I make sure I surround myself with amazing people who are going to elevate me. And that in turn will help me elevate other people that I'm around.
And I did that. I did that at work as well. I don't want to be around other teachers that are, bitching and complaining about their husbands, their kids, their life. And that is just energy draining. That is energy sucking. So like Ty said, surround yourself with uplifting, encouraging people that are moving forward. I never wanted to sit around and discuss the camping trip that happened last year. I always want to talk about forward thinking. And so I needed to get myself around people that were of that mindset. So that really helped because when you're going through life and things are happening on our journey through Ty's whole career and everything that happened there, and with my career and everything, it's draining enough. And to do that with other outside negativity going on at the same time is just adding to the level of stress that you're having in your life. And so, it's, like I said, surround yourself with people that are going to elevate you and speak into you and speak life into you, as if you're trying to get oxygen into a fire. You really want people that are going to walk that with you and do that with you, not bring you down, but bring you up.
Yeah.
Right. So super important.
It's not a matter of going through the world with rose-colored glasses and everything is great and horseshoes and rainbows, or unicorns and rainbows. But no, it's do you choose to stay in the negativity, or do you choose to power through it? I said earlier, if you're going through hell, don't stop and get a room. No. Power through it. So yeah, make sure you surround yourself with people who are going to move you forward. And that, your association doesn't have to be just physical people, right? It's, what are you listening to?
Yeah.
What are you putting in your mind? Your association could be reading Extreme Ownership, could be reading 5 Love Languages. What are you putting in to the brain box up here? Be purposeful with that.
Yeah. Another great one is Love and Respect as well, if you haven't read that, in terms of just staying connected and in your marriage and supporting each other. So like Ty said, surrounding yourself, the 5 closest friends. I mean, if you hang around with smokers, chances are you smoke. If you hang around with people that like to dirt bike, chances are you dirt bike. It's no different. And I think as parents, we understand the power of association. We guard our kids' association. You're not going over to Susie's, she drops F-bombs, or you're not going over to Johnny's because his parents are never home. And there's just no structure there. So we guard that association for our kids, and really important that what we've come to learn is you guard that for yourself too in your adult journey as well. So
surround yourself with these amazing people, and that's what we've done. We've just got some amazing people in our life, and we plug into them. So,
you guys, that is Mindset Bites to go. And you all got it in a full spectrum, from family to life, career, business. Thank you so much, guys. That was so powerful. And this is the part where we come to the point where we want to know, as the audience and viewers listening and watching us, how do we stay connected with you all and serving first responders?
Excellent. Well, I'm going to talk to 3 different groups of people here. The first one I'm going to talk to is the guy who's getting ready to retire, the girl who's getting ready to retire from a career of first responder, and their spouse. We would encourage you, go to our website. Our emails are on there. Just so you know, I'm not a web developer. I'm not a web designer. I put this through with a I'll say the company GoDaddy. They're helping us make it through, but know that on the website at the bottom, there's contact information. If you're wondering, hey, what can I do? Reach out there. Second group of people is if you're an administrator of one of the industries as a first responder, take a look at how are you treating those who are getting ready to leave. the black and white side of it says, well, there is no return on investment. Why would I take the time to send somebody to one of these things? First of all, the cost is very minimal, and we'll talk about that when we meet. But this is not a big cost to you. What it is an opportunity for you to give back to the people that have put into your organization. And do we want somebody walking away with a bad taste in their mouth? Do we want, somebody to be able to sing the praises? Do we want the good Yelp review, right? Do we want the good Google review? I think about that as if you are a fire chief and you have people getting ready to leave, you want them to leave on that good note, because not only is it going to help that person leaving, but it's going to help with retention. If I'm looking to make a switch to a different police department, I want to know that they're going to take care of me in 10 years when I get ready to hang up the badge and move on. So that's the second group. And the third group is maybe you're listening here and you're in a position where you believe in what our mission is and you want to help out. We're a nonprofit. We basically took a bunch of money out. Well, every dime out of our house in order to get this started. We believe in it. We're not doing this because we need the money, because there is no money in it for us. We're doing this because we believe in what we're doing. We know that it needs to be done. And if you're out there and you say, you know what, Ty and Karen, we believe in what you're doing. We want to help. We want to put the financial backing into this. Please reach out to us. Our emails are on the website. You can kind of see it behind us there. I don't know if you're going to get the superimposed. servingfirstresponders.com. Scroll down, there is how to contact us. Our story is there, our providers are there. We've got some testimony. We at the bottom of the page, if you're going through something right now and you feel like this is the end, reach out. 988 Suicide Prevention Hotline. Make sure you reach out. There is always somebody at the other end of the phone that can help you through it. We can give you the tools to move forward. We are not mental health counselors. All we are, we're tour guides, right? We're tour guides. We're not travel agents, and that we're telling you to do something we haven't done. We're tour guides. Come through this. We've been through this. If you're having trouble, reach out here. If you need this, reach out there. So if you believe in what we're doing, please reach out to us, because we'd love all the support we can get. I hope that answers that last portion for us. And
our first session is coming up on March 29th.
Oh, absolutely.
We're so excited. Oh my goodness. So yeah. Yay.
And a quick plug, we've got the people at Chick-fil-A. We reached out to them and they're providing lunch. They're amazing. Here in the West Valley, we have Anthem Coffee, which is a local coffee shop, and they say, we believe in what you're doing. They're providing the coffee and little baked goods for this as well. We couldn't do this without that support for sure. I'm going to single out one other guy who has believed in us from the start. This is Jeremy Dyke from City of Goodyear Community Engagement. He is the one that has really pushed us in the direction of where we need to be, and saying, hey, try this resource, that resource. I can't say enough good things about what Jeremy is doing for his community as well as for us. So yeah, we just really want to make sure we thank those people.
Mm-hmm.
Awesomeness. Thank you guys so much. And all of the links to their website and their contact info will be also wherever you're watching and listening to this podcast in the world. So it's not going to be hard. You don't have to remember everything they just said. Just go back to the description of this episode and you will be able to connect with Ty and Karen. Guys, we don't like it, but we've come to the end of our episode with Ty and Karen. So remember to stay in touch, connect with them, connect with the mission and the vision. Even if you're not a first responder and you're just curious and you have some in your life, pass the message on, share this episode so they can become encouraged and aware that there is light at the end of the tunnel for your life that might look like, what do I and who am I now that I'm going to leave serving my community? And that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Karen and Ty Doolittle, for joining us today. And our listeners, remember.
I do that very well. There we go.
Thank you. Remember to embrace your resilience and continue to master your mindset. Until next time, we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye.